do the following have in common? A river of impossible colors which seems to have got the wrong planet. A canyon so beautiful it should be venerated. A rock wall where the world ends. A peculiar African savanna which is not in Africa. And an old Roman mine with a richness that hits you in the eye. The answer is that all form part of the most spectacular natural spaces of Spain. This is a winding river, one which plays at coiling around the rock walls that the river itself has lifted up. Steep cliffs which gain height on following its watercourse to create one of the most spectacular landscapes of northwestern Spain. The Cañón del Sil. A natural frontier between the provinces of Lugo and Orense, the final section of the River Sil is a deep gorge with granite walls which rise as much as 500 meters. A route of 35 kilometers on which bends and meanders offer magnificent views which can be enjoyed from its numerous vantage points. This area, which consists of the valleys of the Sil and the Miño, was known as the Ribeira Sacra as early as the 12th century. Since the dawn of Christianity, monks and hermits had chosen these steep hillsides to retreat in search of solitude. As the centuries passed, the major religious orders founded monasteries here to give this territory the largest concentration of rural Romanesque architecture in all Europe. A rich monumental heritage of the 12th and 13th centuries, such as the spectacular Santo Esteban Monastery with its 3 cloisters, which has now been converted into a state-run tourist hotel or parador, or the Santa Cristina Monastery, enveloped in a centenary forest, which was one of the most important monasteries of the Ribeira Sacra during the Middle Ages. The doorways and arches of the ruined cloister still seem to retain their halo of spirituality. But the monks didn't just pray, they also devoted themselves to grape growing, and hence the production of magnificent wines intended exclusively for the tables of popes. Grapevines were already cultivated here prior to Roman times, and this continues today, as the mild climate and the special characteristics of these hillsides allow the production of grapes of high quality. Vine terraces adorn small patches of these steep slopes of over 50 degrees. The imposing orography was forged during the Quaternary period, when tectonic movements fractured the ground into huge blocks to create the course of the river. For millions of years, subsequently, water eroded its bed to form this impressive canyon. Its waters have now been dammed and flow calmly. Visitors can take a trip on a catamaran. The granite outcrops, which are covered with oak and chestnut trees and thick scrub, create images of amazing beauty. This is an excellent area for birds of prey, which find their natural habitat in the higher, more accessible areas. The Cañón del Sil is a deep scar on the land. the impossible embrace of two vertical walls, separated bend after bend by the serene waters of the river Sil. It is an oasis of peace which moves our souls with the force of its landscape. Perhaps this is its sacred touch. A rocky massif which appears to come from another planet. A wild relief, furrowed with deep ravines which rise proud and defiant as they reach the sea. For the Guanches, the ancient inhabitants of this island, it was here where the world ended in what they called the Walls of Hell. Nowadays, we know these huge basalt walls which rise to a height of 600 meters as the Acantilados de los Gigantes, the Cliffs of the Giants. These spectacular cliffs of volcanic origin which fall to the sea form part of the rural park of Teno in the northwest of the island of Tenerife. The volcanic massif of Teno was originally a small island which ended up joined to others to form what is now Tenerife. Here can be found the oldest geological materials of the island. They are 7 million years old. Erosion has modeled this territory over time to create spectacular landscapes of rugged orography. This place has varied and abundant vegetation, in which surprising spots can be found, such as that of its lunar landscape. Rocks with shapes and colors which make them unique. The hamlet of Masca, which is sheltered by the Roque de Catana, is one of Teno's most iconic images and is visited each year by hundreds of thousands of tourists who reach it on its labyrinthine roads. This was one of the last refuges of the Guanches after the arrival of the Spaniards. Here is where the monumental ravine of Masca opens up to reach the sea flanked by Los Gigantes. Its majestic cliffs with their vertical walls, which rise imposingly over the ocean, form a unique natural landscape. The cliffs extend 15 kilometers along the coastline from the Puerto de los Gigantes to the Punta de Teno at the western tip of the island. This tongue of land, on which an ancient lighthouse still stands, is another matchless viewpoint from which to contemplate the great rocky wall of Los Gigantes. Their height varies between 300 and 600 meters, and the dark color of their walls, furrowed by columns of solidified lava, make these cliffs a true spectacle of nature. Los Gigantes, the place where the world ends. If these are the walls of hell, then hell is worth a visit. A formidable park in which autumn is written in capital letters. The best example that beauty is always on the inside. And an ancient forest which hypnotizes with its greenness. You won't want to miss it.